Somewhere around 10 years ago, after I had been doing what's now known as Module 1 Yin Yoga teacher trainings for a number of years, one of the institutes I was teaching at invited me to do an advanced Yin Yoga teacher training. I accepted, but at the same time it brought up a very interesting inquiry for me. What does it mean to advance as a Yin Yoga practitioner, as a Yin Yoga teacher? From a Taoist point of view, we could say that the destination is the journey itself. So how can we advance when we're already at our destination? I thought, well, we could go more deeply into anatomy, but we cover that sufficiently in the first module, and it's for me not my passion, not what lies for me at the heart of the practice. We could go more deeply into the meridian system. Again, this is important and beautiful work, but not for me what lies at the heart of the practice, not for me what my passion is. So I began to ask the question, what is it that makes an effective teacher? And as I look around the world, I think that the Dalai Lama is perhaps the most effective and influential teacher in the world today. And having been blessed to be in his presence a number of times, it's very clear to me that his power and effectiveness as a teacher doesn't come from his deep understanding of Buddhist philosophy. It comes from his ability to connect with the people in front of him. It comes from his ability to show up as his whole self and invite those people who come to hear him to do the same. The Chinese government isn't afraid of the Dalai Lama because of his armies or even because of the noble truths that he teaches. They're afraid of his smile. They're afraid of his invitation for people to be themselves and to show up through their heart. So I began to think back. I was blessed to be able to study with a cultural anthropologist named Angeles Arian. And Angeles, one of her main studies was the indigenous use of archetypes. And you can say indigenous or nature traditions' use of archetypes in their understanding of what it means to be human. And so I began to look at the archetypes of yin and yang and the possibility of expanding them into the indigenous archetypes of warrior, healer, teacher, and visionary. And what really drew me to that is the connection to nature. These archetypes are represented not just by warrior, healer, teacher, and visionary, but by the winter, the summer, the spring, and the fall, by air, by earth, by water, and by fire, by dancing, by storytelling, by silence, by drumming. So the indigenous cultures or the nature traditions began to bring all of these aspects into their understanding of their whole self. And so in the Module 2 training, we take, philosophically and emotionally, we take these archetypes of yin and yang and we expand them into the 4 archetypes of warrior, healer, teacher, and visionary. And by doing that, we see where we come into balance. These archetypes are not, they're not the type of archetypes that one person is a warrior and one person is a healer and this person is a teacher. No, these archetypes sit together within us, and it's the balance of warrior and healer, of teacher, of visionary and warrior. The balance of these archetypes which helps us to bring balance within ourselves. And for instance, the archetype of the healer is the element of earth, and earth, of course, has her lessons for us that we're always taken care of. That there's always food, there's always enough, that we're always loved. And the element of, for instance, the element of the teacher is water, and water teaches us about impermanence. For the teacher is about being open to connect to outcome without attachment. So this module 2 training, we begin to look at our journey as teachers and practitioners and as human beings in relation to these archetypes. So we spend time one day on each archetype, and doing body meditations, doing yin practices, and looking at how we're able to show up. The warrior is about showing up and being present with what's true in our life. Are we showing up? The healer asks us, what has true heart and meaning for you in your life? Are we remembering what has heart and meaning for us? The teacher asks us to let go of control and instead trust ourselves, trust our students, trust life itself. And finally, the visionary asks us this question: why did you take birth? Why are you walking this sweet earth? What is the medicine that you brought to the earth to give back to the earth and all its beings? And that archetype of the visionary helps us to remember how we come into our own power, how we open to our heart, how we understand trust and control. During this training, the yin practice is the vehicle that we use to help us to understand these emotional aspects of ourselves, so that we can show up for our children, our parents, our friends, our students as our complete self, with an open heart, a full heart, and a strong heart.